Hello, Pankhurst, and welcome to your first wider curriculum lesson this week. So, today is Tuesday, the 12th of January 2021, and our first lesson's learning objective will be the following. Can I use a range of sources to explore Victorian inventions? But before I get into our lesson today, I just want to have a recap on last week. So last week, we had, I had introduced you to your project book. Yeah. So, like I said, your project books are waiting, your DT project books are waiting for you in school. So while we're at home doing remote learning, you just had to create your own. And then we looked into a few Victorian inventions and researched them and had to look at some of their names. But even though we are doing a DT focus the next three, I mean, we are doing a DT focus for the first 3 weeks. Today, we are not doing a DT lesson just for today. We will be doing a history lesson. And for history, like I said, we will be looking at a range of sources and exploring these Victorian inventions. Now, to give you some more information about Victorian inventions and to give you some more inspiration for your DT project, I thought it would be helpful for you to listen to some history experts speak about different Victorian objects. So, some historian experts today will be speaking to you about a few Victorian objects. Now, a source is something that tells us about history. So, in our learning objective here, I said you're using a range of sources to explore. A source is something that tells us about history. So it's something that tells us something, okay? Now, can you think of something that tells us about history? Put your thinking caps on, have a good think, and tell me something that tells us about history. Talk to your teddy, or talk to your adult, or just have a good think. And when you're ready, come back to the screen. A source, so a type of source could be a photograph. So when you look at a photograph, it might tell you about history. So for example, if you were to look at a picture of someone from the wartime, just with the way the picture looks or the uniform they're going to be in or what kind of objects are around them, you would be able to tell that it is from history or what part of history. A painting, so a type of painting could tell you something about history. An object, by looking at an object. So for example, when we were looking at Victorian inventions last week, just by looking at it, you could tell that it was not from now, it was in the past, so it's from history. Yeah. A piece of writing, so letters, diaries, and journals. Like for example, when we were doing diary entries, we looked at Anne Frank, so we know that was from history because in her diary she had the date, and the date was from the past. Yeah. A recording and a newspaper article. And the way you could tell that a newspaper article is a source which tells you about history is because it would have a date on it. Yeah. And a book, so like a non-fiction text or a non-fiction text. It would be a non-fiction text. Sources are split into 3 different types. So when you are using sources, so a source which tells you about history, you have 3 different types of it. You have a primary source. Okay, this is a first-hand account or piece of evidence from that period of time. So for example, Anne Frank's diary would be a primary source, but because that was a first-hand account. It was her who wrote it by herself. Okay. You have a secondary source. This is an account written after that period of time using a primary source to help. So for example, if you're looking at, if you go onto Google or somewhere and you look up about Victorian inventions and if someone has recently written about a Victorian invention, from the past, that would be a secondary source because they looked at a primary source to do their research. And then a tertiary source, yeah, something that summarizes information from primary and secondary sources. So for example, an encyclopedia. So if you had an encyclopedia in front of you, yeah, that would be a tertiary source, because that means they looked at first-hand experiences, and then they looked at someone else's second-hand source, and then collected all the data and the information and then created their own. Now, our history experts, Miss Hudson and Miss Blay, have very kindly recorded themselves speaking about these inventions for you. Please have a pencil and a paper ready, as you will be making notes. So if you can just go grab yourself a paper and a pencil. Okay, when you're ready, come back. Now, please go onto our YouTube channel and look for the videos named the following. Yeah, so you've got Year 3, 12th January History Expert Cole, Year 3, 12th January History Expert Medicine, Year 3, 12th January History Expert Telegraph, Year 3, 12th January History Expert Zoetrope. Okay, now these 4 videos our history experts have kindly recorded for you, and they are about Victorian inventions. So when you are done, what I'd like you to do is make notes while you're watching these videos. Okay, and then when you are done, please return back to the screen. Okay, so when you are done, come back to this video, my video. Make sure you remember to take notes. So pause the video now, pause my video now, and look for these videos on our YouTube channel. Fantastic. Okay, so welcome back, Pankhurst. Your task today is, using your notes, I would like for you to pick one of the tasks below. So choose again what is appropriate for you or what you feel like you can do. In your neatest handwriting, so, you know, we discussed what our neatest handwriting is yesterday. I want you to write your top 2 facts for each Victorian invention. So in total, you should have 8 facts. Because you watched 4 videos, you should write down 2 facts for each of those inventions. Or number 2, you can record yourself speaking about the Victorian inventions. Again, I would like to see your top 2 facts for each invention. So your task is to present 2 facts for me on each invention. Okay, you can either do it in your neatest handwriting, or you can record yourself speaking about it. So don't forget to upload your work on Tapestry. I'm really looking forward to seeing your work. Fantastic. Yeah, Pankhurst. See you.